I never thought a job interview could change my life. Not just my career, but who I was, down to the core of my identity. It all started when I saw the listing, Goth Hooters, looking for new staff, unique personalities encouraged. I thought, it's just a quirky bar, how weird can it be? But that day, stepping into the dimly lit, neon-tinged restaurant, everything shifted. The manager greeted me, a tall woman with jet black hair, piercing green eyes, and a grin that suggested she knew something I didn't. "You're here for the interview?" she asked, her voice smooth but teasing. I nodded nervously, clutching my resume, and tried not to stare at the black leather corset and miniskirt she wore, part uniform, part statement. She circled me, eyes scanning from head to toe. You have potential," she said. "But we're looking for more than just potential. We want transformation. Are you open to change?" I blinked. "Change?" "Yes," she said, leaning closer. "Our staff aren't just servers. They become part of the Goth Hooters experience. Unique, captivating, feminine." Something in me shivered. The word feminine hit me like a bolt of lightning. My life had been mundane, predictable, safe. And now, suddenly, I was being invited to step into something else. Something thrilling, terrifying, and intoxicating. The first days on the job were surreal. The uniform itself was a challenge, a black leather bustie, a short pleated skirt, fishnet stockings, and heels that I struggled to walk in without wobbling. My body felt exposed, every movement amplified, every glance from a coworker or customer a test of my courage. The manager, whose name I learned was Raven, was relentless in her guidance. "Posture, hips, voice," she instructed, correcting every misstep. "You're not just serving drinks. You're performing. You're embodying someone irresistible." I stumbled, literally and figuratively. My legs shook, my voice cracked when greeting customers, and my confidence faltered. But the feedback wasn't cruel. It was exacting, deliberate, and strangely empowering. I began to notice changes not just in how I moved, but in how I felt. My body, initially tense and awkward, began responding differently. Hips swayed naturally. Shoulders softened. My voice, practiced to be a touch higher, felt right. I caught myself in the mirror one evening, alone in the staff room. The reflection staring back was unfamiliar. My cheeks looked softer, my lips fuller. My hair, pushed into gentle waves by Raven's styling tips, framed a face that was slowly becoming someone else. I touched my jawline, traced my collarbone, and felt a shiver run through me. Is this really me? Outside the restaurant, life felt chaotic. Friends noticed the changes before I did. "You look different," one coworker said, half teasing, half curious. I laughed nervously, brushing it off. But deep inside, I felt the stirrings of something I couldn't ignore. My body was shifting, my presence was softening, and every glance in a shop window or reflective surface reminded me that I was becoming more feminine. At home, I experimented in secret. I tried Raven's makeup tips, soft eyeliner to accentuate my eyes, blush to warm my cheeks, lipstick that made my lips irresistible. I practiced walking, talking, laughing in ways that felt delicate yet natural. The first time I applied foundation and looked in the mirror, I almost didn't recognize myself. My reflection was softer, warmer, undeniably feminine. And instead of fear, a thrilling curiosity coursed through me. I began secretly enjoying the sensation of transformation, the way a skirt hugged my legs, the swish of heels, the subtle rise and fall of my chest. I felt exposed, yes, but also alive in a way I had never known. Each step, each gesture, each glance became a private rebellion against the person I had been. The weekends became my playground. I ventured further into the city in full Goth Hooters attire, testing my confidence in public spaces. Cafes, shops, even quiet parks became stages for self-expression. Every compliment, every glance, every smile strengthened something deep inside me, a sense of identity that was both thrilling and terrifying. At the restaurant, the customers began to notice. "You've got something special," a regular said one evening. His words sent a shiver down my spine. I realized that the persona I was embodying, the feminine, alluring, confident me, wasn't just a costume. It was becoming real. Even Raven noticed. "You're transforming faster than I expected," she whispered one evening as we closed up. "Not just the uniform, not just the look, the way you carry yourself now. You're owning it."
Her words lingered in my mind long after. Owning it. That was the key.
I wasn't just performing. I was discovering, embracing, and ultimately claiming a part of myself that had always been dormant. But the transformation wasn't without its fears. The first time I walked home from a late shift in full attire, heels clicking on the empty streets, I felt eyes on me from every shadow. Panic rose, heart racing, thoughts spinning. What if someone recognizes me? What if they judge me? What if I like this too much? And yet, with each fearful step, I noticed a strange exhilaration. The way my hips swayed naturally, the confidence in my voice, the sway of my shoulders, it all felt right. I was becoming someone both terrifying and exhilaratingly alive. One night, in the dim light of my bedroom, I experimented with makeup more daringly than ever. Smoky eyes, dark lipstick, blush to highlight the cheekbones. I posed in front of the mirror, rotating slowly, studying curves I hadn't known existed. My voice, soft and melodic, whispered to my reflection, "You're beautiful. You're someone new." A shiver of delight ran through me. The fear hadn't vanished, but it had transformed into excitement. I was no longer just Shoaib. I was something else. Something captivating. Something undeniably feminine. The real challenge came when the manager decided I was ready for a special showcase during a Friday night rush. The restaurant was packed, the neon lights casting dramatic shadows, music thumping. Raven stood beside me, whispering instructions. Every movement matters. Every glance counts. You're no longer just serving drinks, you're the experience. My pulse raced. Customers stared. Whispers floated. And I walked. Heels clicking, hips swaying, posture perfect. My hands trembled slightly, but my smile was confident. I moved with a grace I didn't know I possessed, every motion deliberate, every glance calculated yet natural. I caught glimpses of myself in reflective surfaces, a polished tabletop, a window, a mirror behind the bar. Each reflection confirmed it. I wasn't pretending anymore. I was hers. Fully, undeniably, intoxicatingly feminine. The applause, the smiles, the admiration, it was overwhelming. But amidst the chaos, I felt a deep, unshakable certainty. This wasn't just a performance. This was me. My body, my mind, my energy, everything aligned in a new harmony I had never known. The transformation spread into my personal life. Friends began to notice subtle shifts, my softer voice, my delicate gestures, the new confidence. Some were curious, some supportive, some skeptical. But I no longer feared judgment. I had discovered something far more powerful than approval, self-acceptance. Family, too, eventually noticed. My mother commented on my glowing skin, my father's subtle approval lingered in quiet remarks. I shared nothing at first, experimenting privately, but eventually, I confessed, the Goth Hooters job, the makeup, the wardrobe, the transformation. Their response was cautious but loving. "As long as you're happy," my mother said softly, "we support you." My father nodded quietly, a rare but profound gesture. That quiet acceptance was more empowering than any compliment from a stranger. Months passed, and I became more comfortable in my skin. The job that had terrified me became a platform for self-expression. Photo shoots, themed events, and performances at the restaurant allowed me to explore femininity in ways I had never imagined. Each day, each interaction, each customer glance reinforced the same truth. This transformation wasn't temporary. It wasn't just a phase. It was real, and it was mine. Even outside the restaurant, I carried myself differently. Simple walks, coffee runs, small social interactions, they all became expressions of my new self. Confidence radiated from me naturally, without effort. The fear that had once dominated my every thought had been replaced by empowerment. One quiet night, standing before the bedroom mirror, I studied the person reflected back. Soft curves, delicate features, glowing skin, subtle makeup enhancing my natural beauty. I smiled. I whispered softly, "I am her. I am me. Beautiful. Strong. Unapologetic." And for the first time in my life, I believed it. Looking back, Goth Hooters was more than a job. It was a doorway. A doorway into transformation, self-discovery, and empowerment. I had faced fear, embraced curiosity, and discovered a side of myself that had been hidden, dormant, waiting for permission to emerge. The uniform, the makeup, the stage, It all became a tool for expression. But the true change was internal: courage, confidence, and self-acceptance. I learned that transformation isn't just about the body, it's about embracing your identity, claiming it, and letting the world see who you truly are. Now, every glance in a mirror, every step, every smile is a celebration. I am no longer just the timid showerib who walked into Goth Hooters uncertainly. I am a woman, confident, empowered, and fully alive. And it all began in that dimly lit restaurant, under neon lights, where the transformation first called to me, and I answered. The first few days at Goth Hooters were a whirlwind of nerves, excitement, and outright panic. I remember standing backstage in the dimly lit staff room, staring at the uniform laid out in front of me, a tight black leather bustier, a pleated miniskirt, fishnet stockings, and heels that made my knees tremble at just the thought of walking. My hands shook as I slipped the outfit on, feeling every seam, every contour against my skin. Raven, the manager, circled me like a predator assessing prey, or maybe like a sculptor studying her work. Posture, she said sharply, shoulders back, hips forward, chin up. You're not just serving drinks, you're a performance. Every movement matters. I tried to copy her instructions, but it felt alien. Every step wobbled, every gesture was exaggerated, and my voice cracked when I greeted my first customer. I could hear snickers from the other staff, whispers that seemed to follow me wherever I went. My cheeks burned, a mix of embarrassment and a strange, unexpected thrill.
Why does this feel exciting?
I wondered, though I didn't want to admit it to myself. Outside work, life became equally complicated. Friends noticed subtle changes in me almost immediately. You look different, one said, eyes wide with curiosity. Something about you, another commented on my softer voice, the way I carried myself. I laughed nervously, trying to brush it off, but every word made me hyper-aware of my body, my gestures, my presence. I was changing, and I could feel it, even when no one was looking. At home, I began experimenting in secret. Drawn to the new clothes, the textures, the way fabrics felt against my skin, I tried on skirts, soft tops, and tights. Each outfit was a revelation.
I looked in the mirror and gasped.
My reflection was softer, warmer, undeniably feminine. My hair framed my face differently, my cheeks appeared rounder, my lips fuller. I ran my fingers over my jawline, my collarbones, and shivered at the sensation.
Makeup became an obsession.
I followed Raven's tips meticulously, blending blush to warm my cheeks, practicing eyeliner until my eyes seemed larger, adding subtle lipstick to enhance my lips. The first time I looked at my fully made-up reflection, I barely recognized myself. My voice, when I whispered to the mirror, sounded soft, melodic, like a different person entirely. You're beautiful, you're someone new, I said, and felt a thrill I hadn't expected.
But feeling good. What if someone found out?
What if I was judged, laughed at, or worse? Each experiment, each glance in the mirror, came with a rush of anxiety mingled with exhilaration. And yet, I couldn't stop. Something inside me craved this transformation, this new identity. I was discovering a version of myself that had always been there, hidden, waiting for permission to emerge. Even small things felt different now. Sitting at my desk, walking down the street, interacting with strangers, I noticed my body responding in ways it never had before. A sway of the hips, a softening of the shoulders, a gentleness in my gestures. The changes were subtle, but undeniable. And with every subtle shift, a tiny spark of excitement grew inside me. The Goth Hooters training wasn't just about appearance, it was about embodying a persona. Raven would watch me for hours, correcting my stance, my smile, even the tilt of my head. At first, I hated it. I felt exposed, humiliated, vulnerable. But slowly, I began to feel powerful. My body moved differently, yes, but it moved naturally, fluidly, and with a grace I had never known. I was learning more than just a job. I was learning a new way to exist in the world. The first time I left the apartment fully dressed in the Goth Hooters uniform, my heart nearly stopped. I had spent hours practicing in front of the mirror, heels, skirt, buste, makeup, everything perfect. And now, stepping out into the bustling streets, I realized just how exposed I felt. The heels clicked on the pavement, my posture rigid at first, my voice softer as I greeted the cashier at the corner cafe. Every glance from passers-by felt magnified, every whisper seemed aimed directly at me. My pulse raced, but alongside the fear was a strange, thrilling exhilaration. I could feel my hips swaying naturally, my shoulders relaxing, my voice softening without effort. A woman passing me smiled and said, "Love your outfit. It's perfect on you." My cheeks flushed a deep pink. I barely managed to stammer, "Thank you," and walked on with a strange combination of pride and disbelief. Encouraged, I began venturing further. Walks in the park, trips to boutique shops, even errands that normally bored me became exercises in confidence and self-expression. I experimented with subtle gestures, tilting my head slightly, letting my fingers brush my hair, softening my movements. Compliments, curious glances, and small acts of attention fueled a growing realization. This wasn't just a costume, a temporary phase, it was a part of me that felt undeniably right. Back at Goth Hooters, my transformation became more noticeable. Raven watched me closely, her green eyes sparkling with satisfaction. "You're catching on faster than I expected," she whispered one night as we cleaned tables.
Not just the outfit or the makeup, it's your presence. People are drawn to you.
That validation, combined with the subtle changes in my body, softer curves, a gentler sway, a naturally higher voice, made me both terrified and thrilled. I was becoming someone new, someone feminine, and yet it didn't feel fake.
It felt real.
The real test came during a busy Friday night. The restaurant was packed, music thumping, neon lights casting dramatic shadows. I was nervous, my heels threatening to betray me with every step, but as soon as I walked onto the floor, something clicked. Hips swaying naturally, smile confident, posture perfect, I moved with a grace I didn't know I possessed. Customers stared, whispered, and sometimes complimented me outright. Each interaction, each glance, reinforced the same truth. I was no longer performing a role, I was embodying a new, authentic self. Even mistakes, like a spilled drink or a cracked voice, felt less terrifying than before. They were part of the process, part of the discovery. Outside work, weekends became my stage. I experimented with outfits, hairstyles, and public spaces, cafes, shopping centers, parks, carefully testing my confidence. At first, fear gripped me at every glance or whisper. But gradually, the fear transformed into excitement, curiosity, and pride. I was learning how to carry myself, how to interact, how to exist as this new persona without hiding. Every compliment, every smile, every approving glance acted like fuel for my confidence. I began to enjoy the attention, the subtle thrill of being seen, of inhabiting this new identity fully. The girl in the mirror wasn't just a reflection anymore, she was becoming me, and I was learning to love her.
Even friends began to notice.
Their curiosity ranged from surprise to admiration. "You look different. Amazing," one friend admitted hesitantly. And instead of hiding, I found myself smiling, feeling a rush of pride.
I was no longer ashamed.
I was embracing the changes, experimenting publicly, and discovering a version of myself I hadn't known existed. The real challenge arrived when Raven announced a special showcase during one of Goth Hooters' busiest nights. The restaurant was packed, neon lights casting sharp, dramatic shadows, music thumping through the room.
I felt my chest tighten and my palms sweat.
This was more than just a shift, it was a test of everything I had learned, everything I had become. Backstage, Raven adjusted my outfit, straightened my posture, and whispered, "Remember, this isn't just about how you look. It's your presence, your confidence. Walk like you own every inch of yourself." My knees shook as I nodded, taking a deep breath.
I can do this.
I have to. Stepping onto the floor, every pair of eyes felt like a spotlight. The regular customers watched curiously, newcomers looked intrigued. I felt the familiar flutter of anxiety, but it was different now. Alongside the nerves was something new, power. I moved deliberately, hips swaying naturally, shoulders relaxed, a soft smile playing on my lips. My voice, when I greeted a customer, sounded melodic and confident, every syllable deliberate. As the night progressed, whispers turned into compliments.
"You're mesmerizing," someone said.
Another added, "Your confidence, it's incredible." The words washed over me, thrilling and affirming. I realized that I wasn't just performing, I was presenting the real me. Every glance in reflective surfaces, the polished tables, the windows, even the mirror behind the bar, confirmed it. This persona, this feminine version of myself, was alive, vibrant, and undeniably authentic. The apex of the night came when a spotlight shone on me for a mini runway-style demonstration. Raven had chosen me to model new uniform pieces in front of the crowd. My pulse thundered, but as I walked, every step, every tilt of my head, every sway of my hips felt natural. Applause erupted, and I felt an unfamiliar but exhilarating surge of pride. I was not just accepted, I was celebrated. After the showcase, the transformation spilled into my personal life. Friends and co-workers adjusted, some with curiosity, some with admiration, but all began to accept the new me. At home, my family noticed subtle changes, and after I confessed everything, the job, the outfits, the experimentation, they responded with support rather than judgment. My mother's soft smile and my father's quiet nod gave me a sense of affirmation deeper than any applause could. The weeks that followed were surreal. Weekends became opportunities to explore different looks, test styles, and interact with the public in confidence. Every outing, from a casual coffee run to shopping, became an expression of identity. Each time someone complimented me or expressed admiration, it reinforced the truth. This wasn't temporary. This was real, and I was embracing it fully. Standing in front of the mirror one evening, I traced the curves of my face, the delicate line of my jaw, the warmth in my cheeks. My hair fell in soft waves, my makeup highlighted features I had once ignored. I whispered softly, I am her. I am me.
Beautiful. Confident.
Unapologetic. And for the first time, I believed it without hesitation. Goth Hooters had been more than a job, it had been the catalyst for transformation. The uniform, the performance, the guidance of Raven, and the challenges I faced had stripped away my fears and insecurities, leaving only a version of myself that was authentic and empowered. I learned that true transformation isn't just about the body, it's about discovering your identity, embracing it fully, and letting the world see who you really are. Now, every step I take, every interaction, every glance in a mirror is a celebration. I am no longer the timid person who walked into Goth Hooters uncertainly. I am confident, empowered, and fully alive. And it all began in that dimly lit restaurant, under neon lights, where my transformation first called. And I answered.